Hi there, welcome to the channel or welcome back. My name is Angela. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys the process that I'm going through to choose a quilting design for a new quilt that I'm starting on. If that sounds interesting, stick around. Thank you so much for joining in today. I'm coming off the heels of just having finished 2 commissioned quilts and I'm starting on a third. This one is not technically a true quilt. It's a quilt pre-printed panel. I'll put a picture of it up here. I am making this for my new little nephew. He's just about 3 months old, actually 3 months old today as I'm recording this. So I got to get this done quickly before he outgrows it. Time flies. So I was a little bit unsure as the best quilting pattern to use on this quilt panel, and I felt a little stuck. I know that the name of the panel is Jungle Babies, that they have a whole line that kind of coordinates with this panel, and the panel's the only thing that I got. I'm using a different fabric for the backing, and I did a quick Google search to see if anybody else had quilted this up yet, and I turned up quite a few actually, and I saved 3 photos of this particular panel that was quilted by someone else and kind of use as a guidepost or a guiding light on just to kind of look at those and help me decide how I want to go about quilting this thing up. All 3 of these images, and I'm going to share them with you in just a minute, are from sellers on Etsy who, from what I can tell, they bought this panel as well, like I did, and then quilted it, and now they're selling the finished quilt. So I will link to all of their Etsy shops below just to give fair credit where I got these pictures from. And if you're ready, I'd love to show you these 3 images of 3 different ways that these people have chosen to quilt this very same panel. What I think might work best is if I keep this picture up here of the bare panel, and then over here I'll put a picture of the quilted one that is for sale on Etsy, or at least it was a couple weeks ago when I started looking around. And I'm going to talk over these a little bit just to kind of share with you my thoughts, what I liked, didn't like, and kind of at the end share with you what I think I'm going to go with as far as quilting this panel up. With that, let's pop these pictures up. So this is the first one, and from what I can tell, unless I'm missing something, it appears that the quilter just did some vertical lines from top to bottom along the panel, and they're a little bit more of a squiggly line. Just, I guess that adds a little textural interest. So what I like about this one is that it's super simple and so quick. I think if I chose to go this route, I could have this thing quilted up in 30 minutes or less. Super simple. I'm not sure that I really aesthetically like this design as much as the ones I'm going to share with you next, but I don't want to influence your thoughts. At the end, I'm going to ask you guys to chime in the comments and let me know which one you like the best. Let's take a look at number 2. So this one is an all-over design. It looks like there's some hearts kind of quilted in there, and this one might be a little bit out of my skill level. I think I could do a stipple or a meander pretty easily, and it would look pretty decent. But as far as doing the hearts and everything like that, that might be a little bit beyond my level at this time. I could kind of use this approach and adapt it and just do like a large meander pattern. I like this one because it's uniform, and I feel like the quilting doesn't stand out and say, hey, look at me. On the other hand, I kind of think maybe it does do that. I'm on the fence totally about that. And let's take a look at the third one. This one, I'm not gonna lie, this one took my breath away when I saw it. So I'm gonna pop it up now. This one is, to me, stellar. It's so good. It looks as if the quilter kind of did some outline quilting, like along the different little animals in the quilt and all of the leaves. But beyond that, and even that there's a lot. Take a look at like the elephant's forehead. There's a lot of quilting, and on the animals that have like the little hair at the top of their heads, even some of those individual sections were quilted. But then the background portions, like the grass and the sky, it's all done so beautifully, so pretty. And I'm not going to lie at all on this one. I personally cannot do this type of quilting at this point in my life. I can do the outline quilting, all of that little tiny stippling feature. I guess that's what it's called. I'm not sure, but all in the blue of the sky and the grass. I'm pretty sure I cannot tackle that at this time without spending hours and hours of practice. So what I'm kind of taking away from this, though, is that I could do the outline quilting along the animal outlines and a little bit on the interior of the animals, and to kind of define the leaves a little bit. And I think that that would look good. And in fact, what I think might be best about doing that and not even being able to do all that little small, tiny detailed quilting is that since this is going to be for a little one, I'm not sure I want it to be that heavily quilted. I think that in my own experience, at least, when a quilt is very heavily quilted, it might look so beautiful, but it does tend to make the quilt not as flexible, a little bit stiffer, rougher, because you can feel the heaviness of the threads. You know, you feel the texture of the thread. So since this is going to be for a little one, I thought it might be perfect if I just do a little bit of outline around the animals and just to define the leaves a little bit. So in the end, I would get a lightly quilted quilt that would look nice, hold together for sure, but still keep the quilt pretty soft and flexible. So that's where my mind is at as far as getting this quilt panel quilted up. I've already got the quilt sandwich together. And one thing that I tried on those two quilts I just finished for the first time ever, I used the 505 spray to keep the sandwich together. I normally use the curved safety pins, but I tried that 505 spray. I loved it, and I think I'll never go back, except I'm not going to use it on this quilt. Just because it is going to be for a little one, and I don't know what kind of chemicals are in that. And even though I'll wash and dry the quilt before delivering it, I'm still a little bit leery about putting any kind of a spray chemical on it. So I'm just going the old-fashioned way and using my curved safety pins. I'm going to turn the camera around here in a second and show you how I have it laid out. Let you look at the backing fabric. I'm using a fleece. So this panel and the fleece backing was one of my very final purchases from Joanne here locally. So it's kind of meaningful in that way for me, kind of fun to get this done, and it's significant, you know, in a couple of different ways. So I'm going to flip the camera around now. We can take a look at what I've done so far. So this is the panel laid out on my sewing table, and you can see I've got it pinned together. These curved safety pins are such a lifesaver, aren't they? I'm just using Quilter's Dream 100% cotton batting. It's in the natural color. And then this is the fleece that I'm using. It's called Luxe Fleece. I'll put details for this panel and the fabric below. I know that Joann's is gone, but you may still be able to find this here and there on the online fabric stores. One thing interesting about this fleece is on this side here, the texture and the color is a little bit different than the back side. This side, actually, I'm using this as the front side or the right side. It's a little bit softer. It feels very velvety, and it's a little darker in color. Whereas this side here, which I'm using as the wrong side, it's a little bit rougher. So kind of would prefer to have this softer side, just since it's for a little guy. So that's what I will be working on for the next week. I don't think it'll take too long. I'm just planning to kind of do the outlines around these leaves, and then for these little animals, do an outline around the body and maybe a little bit of interior, like where you can see these shadings here, the segments. That's my plan. It won't be over the top quilted. Just enough to give it some definition, hold it together, make it look nice. I am undecided yet on what color binding I'm going to do. I'll probably decide that once I'm done with the quilting process. I'm kind of tempted to go with that rusty brown color just to even it out. I think green would look good too. So we'll figure that out later. So after having seen all three of those quilt designs, what did you guys think? I'd love to know your thoughts. Would you choose one of those three if you were quilting this panel, or would you do something totally different? Comment below and let me know. I'd love to get the input and the feedback on that. It's fun to hear how people approach the same task in different ways and all the creativity that's out there. I'm going to wrap it up for now, and I hope that you'll tune in next time when I hope to have this quilt panel done and I will share it with you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Until next time, just keep sewing.